Nice.
Hey everybody, it's Sherry Sutton and I am your marketing mentor. Continuing with our series of author interviews for the book Journey to Myself. We're here today with Hannah Cremona. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's Cremona.
Okay, Cremona. One of my fellow authors from this book. We are so excited. Our book has been flying off the shelves or flying into Kindles. I'm not sure the right way to say that. But anyway, it was named #1 international bestseller a few days ago. So that was super exciting for us. It is the story of 11 women who have gone through incredible transformational experiences in their lives. And I'm going and interviewing most of the authors. So excited to have Hannah here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I'm so excited. As I was explaining before, I think I'm still it's still coming down. I'm still trying to figure out what has been happening in this crazy week. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Me too.
And
Me too.
I don't think it's really I'm sort of a delayed feeling person anyway. Like I go, and then I'll just crash and cry. So all of you guys, I feel like have been crying this whole week, and I'm like, go, post, do that, right? And then I'll fall apart a week from now, and you'll all be like, what's your problem? Like, we were doing this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think I'm a bit of both. But definitely it's been a really intensely emotional a whole week. It's been like that.
And do you think, is it coming now, or did it come when you were writing their story as well?
I think it just came in this whole week as we were preparing. I had an interview with Kristen on my profile. I think it was the day before launching, and that day was, I think, the day after full moon or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So it was just I don't know, this whole period has just been really emotional, and yeah, for me the crying was every day. My eyes are really swollen actually. But it was not emotional in sadness, just overjoyed, and just the feedback that we're receiving from near ones and dear ones and people from far away, and what they're having to say about this book has just been, I'm just hugely grateful for this experience.
That's cool. How did you get involved?
It was really random. It was extremely random. I was journaling in the middle of lockdown. I was in Kathmandu, where I'm usually living in Kathmandu, Nepal. I'm currently in Malta. Just journaling about my higher self and my more successful self, and what would she be doing, and what would she have achieved. And I very randomly kind of put down, oh, international best-selling author, and I'm publishing. And it's really something I never thought about, right? And maybe the same day or the next day, I can't remember exactly, but I was scrolling, and I happened to be in one of the women female entrepreneurs groups, and I saw Kristen's call for this, and I just kind of really laughed at it. But I also commented on her post, going, haha, that's funny, I just journaled about this. Had a quick chit chat, and there I was taking action and going, oh my god, really, is this it? It's like, am I really doing this? Am I really going to share my story? Which part? Oh shit.
You're like, this manifestation stuff totally works.
And I was like, oh yeah, I've been trying to manifest all of this other stuff, and this one that just comes like that.
Right. You're like, where's the millions, universe? Come on. Thanks for the book, but really, there's other things on the list. When are you getting to those, huh?
So that's how it was. And I just kept on taking action then, and I found myself with amongst you amazing souls doing this together. So yeah,
Yeah, one of the interesting things. So I interviewed Kristen the other day. She is not only one of the authors of the book, but also was, really the one who brought us all together and has been organizing everything and doing all the back end stuff, which God bless her for doing.
Yeah.
But she and I were talking the other day, and she was the only one who had read all of our stories because it hadn't actually come out yet. And she was saying that it was actually a detriment to her while she was writing her story because she got so intimidated by like having read all her stories and like trying to make sure it fit in or stuff, and was not the same but a little bit different and stuff. But none of us have read each other's stories, and I just got the book. I should have brought a copy in with me. I didn't even think about it. I just got the book yesterday, and so I haven't read everybody's stories yet either. So tell me a little bit about your story.
Well, by the way, I just started reading your chapter last night. I'm loving it so far. I'm a slow reader. I take my time. So yeah, my story is really about breaking down the identities that we attach ourselves to. I think I was forever until my early 20s in an identity that I didn't resonate with. There was this disconnect with what people saw on the outside and what was inside. And really, when things started breaking down around me, like relationships and my attachment to my work and other places, I kind of realized inside was quite empty. and that's what started my journey, and really about listening to that inner voice, listening to that inner child's dreams and wishes. So that's what kind of kickstarted my journey, and that's what my story is about. And figuring out things on the way and losing myself and finding myself in different ways. Yeah, and it involves leaving a lot of things behind.
And is that how you ended up in Kathmandu? Because I know, is that part of the story? Because that's such an interesting, part of about you, right?
Exactly. And I did leave everything behind. I left my career behind. I was 8, 9 years in marketing and business development in my family business. So there's a lot of attachment there and a lot of expectations there.
Yeah.
Especially working with my mom, and like everyone expected me, to kind of fill in her shoes and step into her position. And there was a lot of pressure with that, obviously. My mom, God bless her, has a very powerful soul herself, a very courageous one. And yeah, just at some point I didn't resonate with that anymore. And one fine day I just decided to pack it all up, leave the salary, leave the stability that came with it, and found myself carrying water in the village in Nepal, and working with, volunteering actually with a social enterprise there called My Universe Academy, which I still hold very dear to my heart. I'm still somewhat involved in the organization. But I just decided to start from scratch with no plan, with absolutely zero plan. So yeah, that's kind of started building from there and figuring out what I want, who am I, and what I want to contribute in this world.
That's awesome. But now you're doing marketing again. Yeah, you've got your own marketing consulting.
Yeah, so eventually I did move back. So I did move into the city, and then with city, obviously the expenses started coming through, and the city life, and the need for, I kind of said, okay, you're moving into your 30s now. I think it's about time you start looking at your finances as well, right? So I started doing some work here and there, and I became very busy with freelance work. Too busy with freelance work, being paid peanuts, and I think a lot of freelancers can resonate with that, right? Working endless hours with trying to like accumulate all the clients to get really petty jobs. And then I was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm going to continue going around in this circle. And it was really at that point of gathering all of my experiences, gathering all of my skills, gathering all of my natural strengths and know-how. And that led me into the coaching space. And yeah, it was all really about, I didn't like what I saw out there. And there was, I was following some coaches, I was following some ways that people were suggesting other coaches to promote their business, and I just felt it's so inauthentic and so pushy and masculine, and it's like, I need to find a way. I need to find a way that is not like that. That you can make marketing and communication fun. And yeah, that took me on a really deeper dive into my own personal growth and spirituality, I think, because it's hard. It is not easy. It is not for everyone.
Well, and it's hard. I mean, I remember when I first started, my own business now, like 10 years ago. And what really started, it's interesting. I was looking for another name for my business. Right. And so I had all these, like cute, pithy kind of names. Right. And I put them all out on Facebook to kind of, crowdsource the feedback. And this one woman, it's so funny. She just posted something on my Instagram. I'll have to tell her this, but this woman, Karen, who I knew from like middle school and high school and all that, she's like, you should just use your name. You've got a great name. Why aren't you just using your name? And I was like, oh, because then people know like it's me, like it brought up all the like, I can't be my brand. I can't, because I had spent whatever it was, almost 20 years before that, building company brands, which are not about the individual, right? It's about, it's something outside of you, right? You're creating this a persona outside of the people who work there frequently, right? And so for me, it was like, oh, that hit way too close to home, right? This idea of like, I'm going to brand with my face and my everything. And then it put me into this whole journey of, well, what does that mean? Like, who am I? Like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to do it in a really authentic way. And what does that look like? And am I even comfortable with that? And, people aren't going to like me. And then that, this personal, but my ex-husband, my husband at the time was like, ew, I don't like this person. I'm like, but this is my authentic me. He's like, but I liked the like corporate square girl. And it ended up like upturning my whole life. Right. But it's so funny how we don't realize becoming entrepreneurs and really looking at our branding is going to like create this whole internal revolution about who we are as an authentic people. Right.
Huge. I mean, I didn't realize. And it's fun. And it's funny I didn't realize because it's something I always told my team when I was working in corporate, representing brands and products and stuff like that. I always used to tell my sales team and marketing team, like, remember, we're dealing with people as well.
Right.
So it's all about branding yourself. It's all about building that reputation and credibility for yourself, because today you have this product, but tomorrow you might have this product.
Yeah.
Is that same person going to buy from you? So I always told them that. And then I remembered that, oh yeah, it is really about self-branding. It's really about bringing yourself to the market and building that authority, building that credibility, being trustworthy, showing that you're trustworthy. And yeah, especially in the online space, I guess we're a skeptic. We're a skeptic bunch, right? Like we're
well, and you have even less time to make an impression, right? Yeah. Like even when you go, I've been going now that things have sort of opened up, that they're closing again, but I've been doing more in-person networking things. And I'm like, wow, I have a full 60 second or 30 seconds or whatever they give you to introduce yourself at the beginning. I'm like, oh, wow, I have a whole like 30 seconds to introduce myself. Because normally you're like, I got 2 seconds. I got 2 seconds to grab this person's attention, right? How do I do that in a way that's authentic, interesting, of service to my clients? Because that's ultimately what's at the center of it. And and it's getting that attention span's getting shorter and shorter.
Definitely. So this kind of brings me back to my story and identity and breaking down like these false masks and layers that we wear, because in fact a lot of people come into the online space or come into marketing themselves thinking they need to be a certain way or look a certain way or speak a certain way. And just be yourself. Take off the pressure and just be yourself. But in that is also challenging.
Yeah, because so many of us don't even know what that is, right? Like, and we don't even want to admit that. We're like, okay, great, I'm happy to be myself. What the hell is that? Especially I think people who are coming to this entrepreneurism later in life, right? Like, you know, who are in, and a lot of my clients that I work with, it's just kind of similar work, are, you know, in their 40s, right? 50s, or having that like midlife, like, what the hell am I doing? I don't want to be in corporate America anymore. I don't want to be doing what I was doing. Or, you know, how do I create a life that really, you know, speaks to me and allows me the balance that I want. But there's a lot of us we spent so long building that identity of whatever else we were doing that, you know, when you sit down to say, okay, tell me about you. They're like, I was the same way. I still feel like that sometimes.
Definitely.
So where are you now? You're in Malta. So why are you in Malta? How did you get from Kathmandu to Malta? Is that where you grew up?
I grew up in Malta from when I was born until my 20s, until I left for Kathmandu 6 years ago. So yeah, this is home. This is where mom is. So lockdowns and restrictions and all of that stuff meant that I couldn't travel so easily. And this summer I was like, you know, I just need to change my scenery. I need to change my environment. I need to reconnect. And like this whole book chapter writing was really about this return to self. And it just like closed this loop of me leaving. And I finished the chapter as I arrived in Malta. I finished my last paragraph, I think, my closing paragraph as I landed here. And I mean, that was really interesting. And what it brought up for me on a personal level was definitely a lot of healing to be done still, or rather another layer of healing to be done with certain conversations I needed to have with my parents, my family, my siblings. So that was quite interesting how it all kind of came at the same time. It was really synchronized in some way.
Yeah. So how has it been being home then? Have you gotten to work through some of that, or? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, this week has been more intense, I guess, and I know that a lot of other women are experiencing similar things, whether it's like this has enabled them to force the conversation that we've been all wanting to have with parts of ourselves, with our past, with our relations. And I think this is what it was for me. It was really about reconnecting and having a conversation, especially with my father. And I was so worried, I was so scared of how he might interpret this or feel in any way that I might be blaming him for something. And it really wasn't about, it really was never about blaming or shaming or trying to put guilt on other people. It is that is the experience and the emotions that I experienced at that time. And I feel quite blessed that he received it very well and really encouraged me.
I know. Here they come. I didn't want to cry in the interview. I know, it's beautiful. And I think everybody's had, you know, kind of these moments of getting teary-eyed, and I haven't yet, but I'm always, it'll come. It'll come. You know, I think it's been an interesting path for a lot of the authors, because I think most of us have told at least part of a story about our childhood and our parents. And, you know, my story went in that direction. I didn't think it was going to, right? And that's just sort of what ended up coming up for me. But both of my parents are gone. So I didn't have that, like, oh my God, what's going to happen when people read it, right? A little bit maybe with my siblings, not too much. They're much older, and they were sort of out of the house when sort of things, you know, that I talk about happened. And I tried to, because I believe this, and this is where I'm coming from, like like a balanced approach. Like, this was my experience, but also they were doing the best that they could, right? But there's so many people, the other authors, and you just mentioned it, who, they're having to like go have some real hard conversations with their families, or, you know, hey, I wrote about this experience, or sharing an experience that maybe their sibling, you know, their parents didn't even know about. And like, God, the level of vulnerability that that brings up for you guys is, I can't even, I don't think I would have done it. I really don't. I don't think I would have had that kind of strength to share that and like have to go look my parent in the eye and be like, this is how I feel about it. Right. And I love you. And, you know, how do you reconcile from that? I just admire the heck out of you guys who are going through that. I can think of about 3 people I know who are really like, oh my God, I had to call my parent and have this conversation as part of this. But at the same time saying, but I have to tell the story. Like, yes. I have to do this. I know in my bones that this is what I need to put out there in order to take myself to the next level and to help other women who are going through this. Because that's a common theme for all of us, is we want to tell these stories as a way of making it safe for other women to tell their stories.
Sherry, as you're saying all this, my body is really in goosebumps right now. Literally from head to toe. But yeah, and it's also, I mean, apart from going through that and our own healing experiences, as you said, it's getting our story out there,
right?
Showing other people that this is okay and it's possible, and what you felt and what you've experienced is real, and all of these things. And I mean, a couple of friends of mine have messaged and said, you know, like, I have so many questions for you about, like, I know you really well, but there's all of this other stuff that maybe we never really spoke about. And the fact that you have really prompted me to reflect and ask questions about myself, what I'm feeling, my own patterns, my own beliefs. And one of them told me, I feel like we've just been sailing along, you know, just going, okay, next, and moving in this trajectory of life that is kind of set, you know, like the societal expectations of what happens next. So it's that really touched my heart, because that made people stop and reflect. And I think just that in itself is huge and it's powerful. And yeah,
I think there's an interesting confluence right now of Me Too and COVID, right? Because Me Too made it okay. It showed us that by speaking up, there's other people who've gone through a similar experience. And if we're willing to speak up and have the courage and to be that vulnerable, then so will other people. And together we can heal. But also, you know, I think COVID, you know, right on the heels of that, gave us this physical opportunity to have time and space to just stop everything, right? Like, you know, even for me, like, you know, you get off the hamster wheel. I mean, that's a huge part of why I started this a year ago, was I was on the hamster wheel and I was just, the momentum was just keeping me going. And what COVID did for so many people was it forced it, boom, stop. And it forced this collective stopping. And I think there's this incredible energy that's coming out of that, right? And for me, you know, my whole business is on, like, everyone I know were people, you know, every client I have are people who in COVID went, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go do something else. There's, you know, time's short. I finally got a break. I finally got to just spend, you know, a couple of weeks or whatever reflecting, and this isn't where I want to be. And so I think that's really set us up for being able to do this. And I'm hoping, like, other people to share their stories. Oh, and Ricky wants to share his story, apparently.
Hi, Ricky.
my dog / pony.
But yeah, totally. That's, I mean, same here, right? When COVID hit, lost all my freelance work. Although I was already thinking about it, but I think I didn't have the balls, basically, to really go for it. And COVID happened and just said, you know what, you've got nothing to do. You've already lost that freelance work anyway. Like, now it's all in. It's all in. And now is your time to really, like, get on your mission. And I did.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy to be on this journey with you.
Same here, Sherry. It really means a lot to me. It's been such an amazing 2 months. Yeah, I just keep telling myself, what the fuck? What the fuck?
I know. Well, it's funny, like not last night, the night before I was in yoga and I was like, oh my God, like I feel this level of like goddess energy from like, because we've been talking this group, this group of women, we've all been talking like annoyingly nonstop, right? Like a little bit to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have to turn off notifications because we're all just like so excited and talking and sharing what's happening with us emotionally and like, bearing, we all bared our souls kind of in the book, but now we're, also using each other as, a sounding board for all of that. And Kristen said it really nicely, like a container to put all of this in and be able to hold each other through this process. And it's like, God, this is what it's about, like this, like goddess energy, like women together, like making things happen, being vulnerable. Now I'm getting goosebumps, like being vulnerable, like just being willing to, to hold each other through our own vulnerability. It's just like, I feel so grateful and so blessed that we've had this experience, and I'm hoping that we can inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, me too. This is really beautiful. Yeah. I look forward to finishing off your chapter today.
Oh, yay. Yeah, mine's on like the more humor. Like I did a mix of sort of humor. And
I love it. I love the way you wrote it. You're such a beautiful asshole. Thank you for writing.
So those of you guys who haven't seen the book, my chapter is called Hello, my name is Sherry Sutton, and I'm a recovered asshole. And it's a little bit of a twist on if you're in any 12-step programs, or if you've seen 12-step programs in movies, like you say, right? You say like, hi, my name is Sherry Sutton. My name is Sherry and I'm an alcoholic, or I'm a whatever, right? And so I did, I'm a recovered asshole. And so it talks about my realization of realizing like everybody else who I thought were the jerks, like I'm the victim, right? Like it's, actually like, yeah, while they were probably in many cases were jerks, like I was also the jerk, right? And how that helped, that was my spiritual awakening. But it used the word asshole a lot. So last night I got the book for the first time. I have a 10-year-old. And so I was like, look, here's mommy's chapter. And I haven't told him like that, like I use the word asshole all the time. And so I opened the book and I show him the title and he goes, hello, my name is Sherry and I'm a recovered. And he goes, and he just looks at me. He goes, mommy. And I was like, it's okay. Am I even allowed to say, like, am I even allowed to read that? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. Like, maybe don't say it. Like, you could say it in the house in this context. But otherwise, like, because he was like, I just remember he was like, and I'm a recovered mommy. I was like, don't read the rest then.
I love it. I love it. I really love it. Congratulations on that. It's really.
Oh, you too. I'm excited. That's my plan for this weekend. Is I'm going to sit down and read everybody's stories because I'm so excited. I haven't, now I've been interviewing all the authors, and so I'm getting a little piece of your story. But I'm super excited to dive into it this weekend.
Me too.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. If you would like to get a copy of the book, there is a link in the comments or in the description for this live. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you soon. Mwah. Bye.